Well, that was what we call a slow dissolve in the business, but we're here. Hi, everybody. Happy Friday. It's the third day of November 2017. It's Friday. I'm feeling good. I'm Dan Kuntz, your host for the next hour. That is Steve.
We're happy.
We're happy. We feel good. The weekend is almost here.
We made it.
We made it to the weekend.
Busy week.
Yeah, it's been a very busy week, hasn't it?
A little bit of everything, weather-wise, news-wise, and everything else. Finally got that fire out.
Yep, that's good. The rain helped.
With a little help from Mother Nature.
A little help from Mother Nature. Boy, do we have a wacky weather forecast. Get ready for some snow, especially Sunday. Sunday is going to be one of those raw, cold, not particularly pleasant days. It's mid-30s and snow on Sunday.
It's a hot stew day.
It's a hot stew today. I have never made lasagna before. I've eaten it. I love lasagna. It's incredibly labor intensive to make. Takes a lot of time. But I was inspired by Brenda, who brought in they made lasagna last weekend, and she brought in the leftovers on Monday, and it was really good. It was a phenomenally good lasagna, and I love lasagna, but I don't have the patience to make it. Usually I just buy Stouffer's and stick it in the oven. But I'm actually inspired this weekend because I think Sunday is going to be a perfect day to make lasagna and consume it.
Yeah.
Yep. Weather forecast is coming up. It's Friday, and the Wenatchee Wild are at home. They're all taking on Powell River, and that means your friend of mine, Arch Ecker, is in the green room, patiently standing by. He'll be on this program in the second half of the show. I looked at your news script. You got a lot of news.
Yeah, I know.
Good.
Yeah, we got overwhelmed yesterday.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff, a lot of weather-related stuff, too.
Yeah, and that's really going to be the big story, is going to be the weather.
Well, weather and some big changes that are coming to Snoqualmie Pass starting on Monday, folks, so keep listening.
Speaking of passes, we'll do a pass report as well. We got lots of sports to get to. The preps are now full into the playoff mode. We'll preview all the weekend sporting activities. We got today's in history, we got birthdays, we got the obscure holiday. I'm in a really good mood because next week I will be on assignment.
That's right, you will be.
And I need it too. I need it. You know you're in trouble when your coworkers say, you need to take some time off, Dan. You're driving me nuts. So I will be not here next week. You'll be taking over the show while I'm
Yes, we will make do with Steve Hare as your guest host.
You'll be fine. Just don't Wally Pitt me. That's all I ask. That's all I ask.
Inside joke.
Beautiful moon. The moon is as close to the Earth as it has been in 70 years. It's called a beaver moon. Tomorrow it will be at its absolute peak.
Now you have to explain that.
I don't know. I just looked it up.
I have no idea what a beaver moon is.
Neither do I. It's just what the terminology for it is, I guess. I don't know what it means either. So you got to call it something, I suppose. So anyway, I don't know if we'll be able to see it because we're looking at fairly cloudy skies. When it's going to snow and a little spittle of rain, so I don't know how spectacular it's going to be tomorrow. But
it was a little higher up in the sky than it was yesterday.
I noticed
when
that.
I was driving across the Settle Bridge yesterday. You could see it right dead center across the bridge, but today it was a little higher up in the sky. So.
It is the third day of November 2017. It's Friday. And we are broadcasting live here from Studio 2 in downtown Wenatchee. You ready to go around the valley, Steve?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Let's take a look at our cameras, courtesy of Localtel's Sky-Fi high-speed wireless network. That, of course, is beautiful Wenatchee. What was the term you used a couple days ago, the blue?
Cobalt blue.
Cobalt blue. I love them, by the way. They'll be opening for Dave Matthews at the Gorge and George, I believe, coming up on Labor Day weekend. Good morning, Wenatchee Valley. Welcome on board. This will be the last time we will have this kind of darkness for this program for a while because, of course, daylight saving time comes to an end on Sunday. We go back to standard time, so it will be bright at this time on Monday.
What really amazes me is the growth of the Wenatchee Valley, just evidenced by the lights you see here in this picture. Now, I moved up here at, 91, and I'm sure that the landscape looks a lot different than it did back then.
The number one thing I remember, and I was born and raised here, and outside of a couple of little blips along my adulthood, I've lived most of my life here, the light pollution.
Yeah.
We never had light pollution growing up here. We would sleep outdoors in the summertime. You'd have sleep outs out in your front yard, and you could stare up at the stars.
Right now.
And look at the planets and stuff. You can't do that anymore in the Wenatchee Valley. We have more light pollution than we've ever had before, and it's not going to change. Anyway, there you go, Wenatchee Valley. Camera number 2, you and I find out together, Steve. We don't know.
I have no clue
That's
where
Badger.
we are.
That's Badger Mountain. So those bright little things that you see there, Steve, that's called lights, and that's the Wenatchee Valley. And there's more.
Like I said before, at my age, I get easily disoriented.
Again, that's why we put you in charge of gathering and disseminating information. Let's go to camera number 3. That's Jump Off Ridge. That's just beautiful. And that's a perfect example of what we were just talking about, light pollution. Again, the cameras are a bit deceiving. They're trying to let in as much light as they possibly can, so you can see as much as you possibly can. It's not that bright out, but when you pull that far back, and you're that high up in the air, it gives you a general idea of what we're talking about, light pollution.
Well, if you go up any higher, you're going to be in the snow, because Mission Ridge got hit yesterday.
Oh, did they?
Summit. Oh,
Okay,
yeah.
not surprised there at all. And finally, no, not finally, yeah, finally, I guess this is the fourth camera. That's, of course, Omi Garden. And that gives you an idea. That's a more representative
Love
photo
that
of Omi.
shot,
That's
too.
just gorgeous, isn't it? Absolutely beautiful. All of these cameras, of course, courtesy of Localtel Sky-Fi high-speed wireless network. And if it wasn't for these network of cameras, we wouldn't have that spectacular footage from the monitor fire of a couple of days ago.
That's the beauty of Sky-Fi. We've got cameras positioned all over the Wenatchee Valley, and really helps when you're covering breaking news, as we saw earlier in the week.
It's a valuable tool, and it is a tool, not a toy. I have to remind my coworkers of that. Let's play with the cameras for a while, they'll say. Let's do the forecast, because this is really the big thing we're going to be talking about this weekend. That is what it looks like, Steve. The low is moving to the east and out of the region. The snow and precipitation is heading our way. Two systems, one later on today through Saturday, and then a second one Saturday night into Sunday. The biggest snow accumulation, Steve, will begin Saturday night at about 5, and we'll go through till about 11 a.m. on Sunday. That's where we're going to see the most amount of snowfall. Keep that in mind, 5 o'clock Saturday into Sunday, mid to late morning is when the most of the snow will be coming down.
Caitlin, our engineer, of course, puts together this little graphic for us every morning, and today she was trying to find the perfect graphic for Sunday. So she found a portrait of you.
One big flake.
One big flake.
Is that what you're saying, Steve?
Yeah.
From the National Weather Service, we have this graphically presented for you. This is going to be your snowfall totals. We'll start out with, this is through today. That's what we're looking at through today. So we could get a little bit of snow, not much. So you just look at where you're at, and you'll get a general idea. Now, they have upped the ante just a little bit, Steve. They're thinking we're going to have a little bit more snow than they were originally anticipating just a couple of days ago. And this is going to be reflected by the next slide. This is the snow totals
Look at
through
Republic,
Sunday.
8 to 12 inches.
Yeah.
Cool.
So there you go. You see that Wenatchee, that little yellow that says 4 to 6? This is total snow accumulation.
Yeah.
Granted, it's probably going to be more on the 4 side, not on the 6 side. But if things work out correctly, the cold air coming down from Canada and the moist air coming in out the Pacific Ocean, we're looking at more snow than they thought just a couple of days ago.
Interesting.
Yeah. Now, so we're looking good. As far as the passes are concerned, they did have a winter weather advisory for the passes. They've let that expire, Steve, but they're still going to get a couple of inches of snow today. There's I-90, no advisories, no restrictions right now. It's looking good. Here's your forecast as we go through the cameras. Stevens looks dark. 1 to 2 inches of snow today, Steve, for the mountain passes. Less than half an inch tonight. Less than half an inch Saturday, so they're backing off Saturday. Just like the Wenatchee Valley, though, the most of their snowfall is also going to be Saturday night into Sunday. Saturday night, 1 to 3 inches possible. Again, this is the mountain passes we're talking about, and the new snow accumulations, additional snow of up to 3 inches on Sunday, then it tapers off on Sunday night. So a total in the mountain passes anywhere between 6 to 12 inches of snow expected. Again, later on today, kind of hit and miss snow showers until we get late Saturday afternoon. Then it's going to snow pretty consistently.
Plan your trips accordingly, folks.
Absolutely. Again, courtesy of our friends at the National Weather Service and from the Washington State Department of Transportation. That is your weather forecast. That is your past report. 8 minutes after the hour, get ready for a bunch of news. It's coming your way in 1 minute. You're watching Wake Up Wenatchee Valley, Friday edition on the NCW Life Channel.
Having a relationship with your pediatrician is so important. Feeling that sense of trust, that is priceless. I tell everybody about CVCH. I love it there. When I make an appointment, I don't have to take an entire day off. As a working mom, my life is really busy. Family time is everything. That's what we all work towards. And I feel like CVCH respects that.
Hi everyone, Brent Crowder here at Town Nissan. Come on down to Town Nissan and help us celebrate the best-selling SUV in America today, the 2017 Nissan Rogue, along with its big brother, the Nissan Murano, and the beautiful Maxima, and the all-new Nissan Titan, and the all-new Nissan Armada. Come down and see us and see why we are the fastest-growing car company in America today. Come down and see us at Town Nissan behind Costco in East Wenatchee.
And now it's time for your local news update with Steve Hare.
And the weather tops our news today on a Friday. This is what, November 3rd?
November 3rd.
2017. Here's what's happening around north central Washington, folks. For the second time this fall, State Route 20, the North Cascades Highway, is temporarily closed due to overnight and weekend snow. Washington State Department of Transportation maintenance crews closed the gates at 6 o'clock last night between Diablo to Mazama. They hope to reopen the gates again this season, but weather conditions will be the determining factor. Road crews also temporarily closed the highway last month due to heavy snow and avalanche danger. Elsewhere today, the Washington State Department of Transportation says your commute across I-90 Snoqualmie Pass will soon look a little different. As a matter of fact, starting Monday, they'll be switching the westbound lanes onto the second new avalanche bridge. The first avalanche bridge was completed in the summer of 2016. Now, this configuration will provide 3 lanes going westbound, 2 lanes going eastbound over the bridges. Now, the completion of the avalanche bridges, part of the larger 15-mile improvement project on I-90 between Hyack and Easton. The 7-mile section between Hyack and Price Creek has been under construction since 2010, and by next fall, most of the major construction will be completed. The remaining 8 miles of the corridor between Price Creek and Easton is scheduled to begin in the summer of 2021. Thanks to the DOT for providing that little animated video there for us. Meanwhile, winter fast approaching. City of Wenatchee looking for volunteers who can help with snow removal service for eligible seniors and people with physical disabilities. This is a great opportunity for people who are looking to volunteer, or some of you high school students out there who need to complete their community service requirement, maybe making a little extra money. If clubs or citizen advisory boards that might need to complete a certain requirement, it's a great chance to do that. You can contact Tammy Stanger. She's the Wenatchee City Clerk at 888-3604 for more information. Well, Chelan County Emergency Management said the cause of Wednesday's fire near Monitor was an unsecured safety chain on a trailer being dragged on the pavement. Emergency management officials would like to remind residents to make sure those safety chains are secured, and if a flat tire occurs on a trailer or vehicle, stop immediately. Driving on a rim or dragging chains can cause those sparks, which obviously can start a wildfire. Now, that fire was fully contained yesterday after scorching over 1,000 acres of dry grass and brush. No structures were damaged, no injuries were reported. Also this morning, 2 people are in custody on drug charges after the Columbia River Drug Task Force completed an investigation in Chelan County. 32-year-old Emmanuel Sanchez Cerros and 33-year-old Cassandra Morgan were arrested October 19th after undercover narcotics officers made that arrest. The search warrant was served, and both heroin and methamphetamine were located in the residence, as well as large amounts of cash. Now, during that drug buy, 2 children were also there. Child Protective Services were called in, and the children were removed from the residence. Morgan was arrested with unlawful delivery of a controlled substance, heroin, and unlawful delivery of a controlled substance and conspiracy to deliver the same. Meanwhile, Sanchez Cerros was charged with 2 counts of unlawful delivery of a controlled substance, and that person recently pled guilty to charges stemming from a previous task force case from February and was awaiting sentencing there. Also today, next April, a $120 million bond will go before voters that would pay for the renovation and expansion of Wenatchee High School. On Wednesday, the school board, along with School Superintendent Brian Flonis, gave area business leaders a tour of the high school and a presentation on plans for a new remodel of the aging campus. Bond supporter John McQuaig gave the attendees a peek at what the high school might look like if that bond passes.
You can see the 3-story building in the back there where that's added. And so here's looking at where the existing sign is, and so that's the 3-room mariachi room and the auditorium. This is a plaza that's developed on Miller Street, and so that's the area where there's classrooms presently that would ultimately be torn down, and so that creates kind of a student plaza out there, a really nice area. It gives it more of a campus feel on the entrance for sure. And there's another shot of the plaza. There's the 3-story addition. And one thing to remember is that what the facilities team has done is put together a budget and a kind of a schematic plan, but obviously this is going to be refined and finalized, working with with the administration and working with the community and so forth, figuring out what you actually need to build, and it may look obviously somewhat different than this, but the overall concept hopefully will probably stay about the same. So how it's laid out and so forth would be another question. There's a new library, classrooms that's looking to the east. There's an interior plaza, which you presently have an interior plaza, but it's not exactly a plaza. It's kind of rough out there, but that would get a lot of improvements to it, and so it'd be a nice space in the center of the building.
Obviously, it's a huge project. The renovation would increase the space at the high school by 60,000 square feet. It would also include a new kitchen and commons area and a remodel on every classroom in the facility. If the bond passes, Wenatchee taxpayers who own a $250,000 home would see their taxes increase $292.50 a year, and that translates to about $24.38 increase a month. Hey, by the way, did you know China was the biggest buyer of recyclable plastic, paper, and metal from the United States? Many Washington recyclers are biting their nails as China will no longer take recyclables from the U.S. starting January 1st, giving that industry a grim-looking future. According to the Chinese government, Beijing notified the World Trade Organization that it plans to ban the import of 24 varieties of solid waste and will turn away any recycling and containment more than 0.3%. Brenda Blanchfield with Chelan County Public Works says the new regulations put an already struggling industry into a precarious situation.
Yes, we are having problems, not only just from our state budget cuts, but also the China screening or ban is going to affect us. We're not really sure how that's going to work out. It's kind of all just come to the surface now in the last hour, and there doesn't seem to be any national work or any additional screening of recyclables to make sure that the contaminants in going to China are improved. They want a 3% contamination tolerance. Ours is probably more like 15 to 17%. So we're a long ways off. We really need to keep the food contaminated products out of the recycled stream. People want to recycle everything, but it messes it all up. And we have a real problem with people then you have people that just want to dump their garbage in the recycle bin somewhere, and that just messes everything up.
As far as the future is concerned, Blanchfield says local markets should be expanded with manufacturers who process recyclables as the state continues to grapple with continuing budget cuts. Well, finally,
Solid waste, recycling, hazardous waste is looking pretty grim as far as how we're going to, control it or even move into the future. I anticipate in January we're all going to be like holding the bag of material and nowhere to take it. It's kind of like at the transfer stations. We were asked if we could shut down for some paving work, and it's like, how do you turn that tap off? The garbage is going to keep coming in, and we can't just turn it off. And we need help from the federal and the state Department of Ecology to get the word out and educate people on how important it is to keep your recyclables clean and within the requirements that are accepted. I guess we're all kind of waiting to hear what kind of help we can get to abide by those contaminant levels.
and again, you can go to our website at ncwlife.com to get more information on that story. As chief of Chelan County Fire District 1, Mike Burnett has seen his share of tragedy during his career of battling structure and wildfires here in the Wenatchee Valley, but it really pales in comparison with what he's dealing with now. He's a member of the incident management team involved in disaster aid to hurricane-ravaged Puerto Rico. Burnett is deployed by FEMA to help coordinate some of those recovery efforts, and he spoke with NCW Life News about that experience.
Well, part of that incident management team is primarily doing wildfires, but it's the teams are designed to go to any event of what they call national significance. And this was one of those cases where they recognized the need. We had some skill sets that would be able to help out with the Puerto Rico emergency management, coordinate with FEMA.
How long have you been down there?
It's been about 5 days now. It's a 2-week assignment, and depending upon how well we do, they may extend it by rotating in other teams to carry on our mission.
Obviously, the images we're seeing out of Puerto Rico are a complete devastation. Give us your perspective on what you're seeing there.
Well, fortunately, we're not here right after it. It's like 45 days post Hurricane Maria, and they're starting to get back power in places, but there's still a significant amount of devastation that's very noticeable.
You've seen your share of damage from wildfires, and I guess the biggest one here would be the Sleepy Hollow fire. How does this compare?
It's just a wildfire is more localized. This is the entire island. So our team is assigned over on the west side of the island, and the 3-hour drive from San Juan, Puerto Rico, to where we're at would normally be maybe an hour and a half drive, but there's no traffic lights. There's power lines and trees down alongside the roads, and it's so much more widespread.
My goodness, any message you want us to share with the folks back home?
I understand we had a wildfire there yesterday, in November 1st. It's one of those kind of years where there's a lot of emergencies, and there's a lot of people that are out trying to help those residents and citizens that we're charged to protect. So I appreciate everyone's support, and we'll do our best.
And again, Chief Burnett there reporting to us from Puerto Rico. He says he'll be back on the 14th. But hey, that's hard work. I'll tell you what, those guys go down there, and he said that the power is being restored slowly, but still a lot of devastation down there.
It's necessary work, but I do not envy those guys. That's tough stuff.
No, not at all.
Tough stuff. Hey, again, there in Puerto Rico, Houston pulled through. You can do it too. 22 minutes after the hour, we are very proud of our nightly newscast. It's something you want to check out. Grant Olson is your anchor person, and you can check out everything that happens in North Central Washington in one nice little half-hour package at 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, and then finally at 10 o'clock, Monday through Friday, right here on the NCW Live channel. Don't forget to get a hold of us if you got news tips. That's what you do. You that thing right down there, that little graphic, we try to make it as easy as possible for you to get a hold of us.
That's right.
Facebook, message us, email us, call us, whatever.
However,
yeah.
you can do it by our website, our Facebook page, do it by Twitter, or call us at 888-NCWL-6295, our news tip line.
Stand on the roof with the bullhorn, whatever it takes. Get us your news tips to us. We appreciate it. Steve, thanks, bud. I appreciate it.
Not at all. Hey, have a great weekend.
Yeah,
and,
keep an eye on the show while I'm gone.
We'll mind the store.
You'll be
while you're
just
gone.
fine. You'll be just fine. Nothing personal against my coworkers. I love my job, but I really do need to take some time off. It's 24 minutes after the hour. Sports, today in history, the obscure holiday birthdays. Everyone is entitled to Mike McNally's opinion, and Arch Ecker, the broadcasting voice of the Wenatchee Wild. We're going to cram all of that in the next 37 minutes or so on this live edition of Wake Up Wenatchee Valley on the NCW Life channel.
Dear Merry Maids, please clean the kitchen, and the cabinets, and the floors, and the chairs. And I wish you could clean the dog. Colin is now feeding himself. Thanks, Megan.
Hi, Megan. No worries. We got it all cleaned up. Let's hope Colin gets past the spaghetti flinging stage soon. Till then, we've got you covered. See you next time. Merry Maids.
This is the NCW Life Community Calendar. Come on down to Wenatchee High School as they perform the Disney classic, The Little Mermaid. The musical runs November 9 to 11 and 16 to 18 at 7:30 p.m. and November 11 and 18 at 2 p.m. Tickets are $18 and only $15 for students. For more information and other community events, visit ncwlife.com.
25 minutes after the hour, and we are live here from Studio 42 in downtown Wenatchee. Sports, congratulations to the Cascade Kodiaks. They are the Caribou Trail League District Volleyball champions. They didn't lose a game all year long. This is a machine rolling towards the state title, we hope. Cascade hosted the CTL tournament last night. They took on Chelan for the district championship. Here is your Les Schwab Prep scoreboard. Cascade continuing its unbeaten string. This is a great volleyball team. They downed Chelan 3-1 in claiming a number 1 seed to the state 1A tournament. Chelan turned around and then defeated Kashmir to take the number 2 seed to the Glue crossover. The Bulldogs are the number 3 seed. More on that in just a moment. Here's what we have on tap for high school football tonight. As the season winds down for most of the prep schools and playoffs begin for others. In the Northeast A Caribou Trail League 1A playoffs, Kashmir will host Freeman. 6 o'clock tonight, Cascade will travel to Newport. That's the 6 o'clock kickoff. Entiat will host Selkirk in the first round of the 2B playoffs. That's the 6 o'clock. Manson has a 7 o'clock kickoff at home tonight. They'll take on Liberty Christian in the District 5-6-7 playoffs. Meanwhile, wrapping up the regular season tonight, there's a game that kicks off at 5 o'clock in the Apple Bowl. If you want your football fix, Chelan will take on Deer Park. Both Eastmont and the Wenatchee Panthers will not be making the playoffs, so their seasons wrap up tonight. Eastmont is at Sunnyside. Wenatchee is at West Valley. Coming up on the calendar this weekend in volleyball, it's the Columbia Basin Big 9 tournament at West Valley High School tomorrow. The Wenatchee Panthers will take on the Rams for the district title. That's at noon. Eastmont will take on Eisenhower at 2 o'clock, with the winner of that match taking on the loser of the West Valley Wenatchee match for a final shot at state. That will be at 5 o'clock. The CTL Northeast A Glue crossover playoffs will feature Kashmir at Freeman and Newport at Chelan. The playoff brackets have not been updated, so we don't know the times for those games, but we do know what's happening on Saturday. On the soccer pitch tomorrow, Cascade and Kashmir have to wait to see who wins or loses tonight to know their opponents tomorrow in the CTL NEA Glue crossover playoffs. Cascade will host the winner of tonight's game between Freeman and Medical Lake tomorrow at 3 o'clock. Kashmir will be on the road either at Deer Park or at Lakeside, depending on who loses their game tonight for the Northeast A District Championship. The Bulldogs' game time is also to be determined. In the 2B District 5-6 tournament, a champion will be determined tomorrow, 1 o'clock. We know that. It'll take place in Brewster. The Bears will host Libertyville. Either way, both teams advance to the state 2B tournament. The Wenatchee Wild, back at home tonight at the Town Toyota Center. They'll take on Powell River. The Spruce Kings are first in the Inland Division of the BCHL. They got 22 points. The Wild are third in the Interior Division with 23 points. We'll chat it up with Arch Ecker just a little bit later on. We'll talk about tonight's game and a bunch of other cool stuff. Hockey Talk with Arch Ecker is right around the corner. By the way, they drop the puck tonight at the Town Toyota Center at 7 o'clock. College football. The Cougars finally get a chance to play in the daylight in Pullman tomorrow. The number 25 Cougars will host the number 21 Stanford Cardinal. Pullman expecting rain and snow today, but it should be dry for the kickoff tomorrow, 12:30. By the way, it is the last home game of the year for the Cougars. They had a strange schedule this year. Central Washington is at Simon Fraser. They'll be up in British Columbia, 1 o'clock kickoff there. Eastern Washington hosts Weber State on the red carpet in Cheney. They kick off at 1. Number 12, Washington. They have a night game, 7 o'clock kickoff. Here come the Oregon Ducks. That game is on FS1. Finally, professional football on the frozen tundra of CenturyLink Field. They don't have a frozen tundra. Seahawks will try to make it 5 wins in a row Sunday. They'll take on Washington at CenturyLink Field. They kick off at 1:05 on Fox. That's the same kickoff time, by the way, for Arizona and San Francisco, also on Fox. Earlier in the day, the Rams will be in New Jersey to take on the Giants at 10 a.m. And then it's sports. At 29 minutes after the hour, it's the third day of November. It's time for the obscure holiday, and today is National Sandwich Day. Sandwiches. I don't know anybody who doesn't like sandwiches. It's a great creation. Millions and millions of sandwiches are consumed every day. It's a lunchtime staple because you can eat it with your hand and still get stuff done. Of course, it's all about the 4th Earl of Sandwich. He was a big gambler, and he spent the vast majority of his time in London's gambling parlors, and he didn't want to get up to get something to eat. So in 1762, he created the sandwich, named after himself. He just put meat between 2 pieces of bread. That way he could remain at the gambling table for hours on end. So celebrate this day by eating a sandwich. And don't forget to wash your hands first. It's very important. Hygiene is important when you're handling food with your hands. 30 minutes after the hour. Today in history. November 3rd, 1783, 234 years ago today, we won the war. Everybody gets to go home. The American Continental Army was disbanded. They need them anymore. They signed the treaty in Paris. The Revolutionary War is over. They all sat around and said, now what? Well, go back to your farms and your businesses. If we need you, we'll call you. The Continental Army was disbanded on this date in 1783. They eventually got back together again as the United States Army a number of years later. Happy birthday to Chevrolet. See the USA in your Chevrolet. Chevrolet is 106 years old today. Chevrolet officially entering the automobile market in competition with the Ford Model T. The whole idea behind Chevrolet, the marketing strategy, the very concept of the company is people really like to drive. We discovered that. Now we want to see if people want to drive fast. So Chevrolet decided to make higher-end automobiles that were more known for their speed. And apparently it worked because they've been around for 106 years. On this date, 81 years ago, November 3rd, 1936, Franklin Delano Roosevelt was re-elected President of the United States for his second term. There is the map. The states that Roosevelt won are in blue. The states that Alf Landon from Kansas won are in red. Apparently Maine and Vermont were big fans of Alf Landon. For the rest of it, it was FDR all the way. It happened 81 years ago today. And it was last year on this date, 1 year ago today, the longest title drought in American sports history came to an end. The Chicago Cubs defeated the Cleveland Indians in the 7th game of the World Series for their first World Championship in 108 years. It happened 1 year ago today. And finally, a couple of birthdays to pass along to you. A couple of baseball players. I'm a baseball fan, you know that. Hall of Famer Bob Feller. There's Bob. That's Bob when he was in the United States Navy during World War II. He was in the Navy. Of course, one of the great baseball players of all time, one of the great pitchers of all time. Bob Feller was born on this date in 1918, passed away about 7 years ago at the age of 92. Ted Williams called Bob Feller, and I'm quoting now, the fastest and best pitcher I ever saw during my career. Hall of Famer Stan Musial had this to say about Bob Musial, probably the greatest pitcher of our era. He was inducted into the Baseball Hall of Fame in 1962, the great Bob Feller, born on this date in 1918. And Kyle Seager, third baseman for the Seattle Mariners, the great American baseball player, very popular amongst the Mariner fans. Kyle Seager celebrates a milestone today. Kyle is 30 years old today, third baseman of the Seattle Mariners. And that wraps up a very long second segment here of Wake Up Wenatchee Valley. Don't forget Arch Ecker is patiently standing by to talk wild hockey and all kinds of hockey cool stuff. We love it when Arch pays us a visit. He'll be by in about 5.5 minutes. In the meantime, when we come back, everyone is entitled to Mike Magnotti's opinion. It's coming up next. You're watching Wake Up Wenatchee Valley, live from Studio 7 in downtown Wenatchee on the NCW Live channel.
Family means something in these parts. Family owned and operated means even more. At Rose Tractor, you're buying more than a product. You're buying years of knowledge through multiple generations. It means you can count on Rose for quality products, quality repairs, and folks who stand behind the products they sell. From your job site to your home to rentals and repairs to new outdoor power equipment, Rose Tractor is growing with you throughout the years. Rose Tractor, quality brands you can trust year after year.
At D.A. Davidson in Wenatchee, we provide financial services for independent-minded clients working to secure their future. Whether it's helping to construct your personal financial, retirement, or estate plan, we start with a disciplined approach and straightforward advice. Our look-you-in-the-eye attentiveness that our clients demand and get is rooted in values that are as human as a handshake. D.A. Davidson's straightforward approach is the way we've done it for 80 years.
Hey folks, Carrie from Blueberry Hills. A chill is in the air and it's a perfect time for some old-fashioned comfort food like our amazing Eggs Benedict, chicken fried steak, French dips, soups made from scratch, or fruit pies fresh from the oven. The crowds might be gone, but we're still here for you folks. So bring an appetite and a friend to Blueberry Hills in Manson, where you pick, you sit, you eat, and you visit. Open Wednesday through Sunday from 8 to 3. wildaboutberries.com.
Hey there, Wenatchee. I'm Sean Lee, and I'm inviting you to come down and check out what we're all about at Badger Mountain Brewing.
Great beer, good food, and an endless source of entertainment for the whole family. Our Honey Blonde beer is flying off the shelves at your local grocery store. But I tell you what, it's even better on tap. And while you're here, try our signature Badger sauce with one of our delicious meals. Whether you're in the mood for a wrap, salad, pizza, or nachos, Badger Mountain Brewing has what you're looking for.
Is this really what we're gonna do on our girls' night out? We should go to Club Crow. The Bar and Grill in Cashmere? Yeah, let's go.
Looking for a fun-filled, friendly hometown atmosphere? Club Crow Bar and Grill in Cashmere is the place to be. Hi, this is Justin. Here at Club Crow, we have full bar and restaurant, live music, a dance floor, pool tables, pull tabs, and live jam sessions the first Sunday of every month. Club Crow in Cashmere, the coolest place in town.
At Local Myth Pizza, we believe in real food, freshly prepared with only premium ingredients. Our cheeses are imported from Italy. Our sauces, dressings, and even our sausages are made in-house fresh daily. Featuring Northwest craft beers and 30 Chelan Valley wines and ciders. Family fun and amazing food. Eat local, drink local, and be local at Local Myth Pizza.
Come see why Sunset Magazine says you can't beat Local Myth Pizza.
Hey, this is Mike Mad Dog Magnati, and everybody is entitled to my opinion. Now, alcohol doesn't cause abusive or aggressive behavior, but it lowers inhibitions. So what is already inside the consumer can come out. In vino veritas, as they say, wherever Latin is spoken. Now, President Trump, he's like alcohol. Now, he doesn't cause racism and bigotry, but he's providing an atmosphere where it can be expressed from where it already exists. Now, despite what knee-jerk responses might cause in some of my liberal friends, thinking this is some sort of supportive post or justification for the man, no, I'm sorry, it's not. But despite his personal peccadillos, Trump isn't causing hatred in anyone. Blaming him, therefore, is only partially correct. Oh, by the way, alcohol is also a central nervous system depressant, if you get my drift. This is Mike Mad Dog Magnati, and that's my opinion.
Stormy Mountain Brewing and local public house, featuring great family dining in downtown Chelan. We've got burgers, pub fare, and the best barbecue around. Try one of our award-winning sauces made fresh here in-house. So grab the whole gang and come on down. Stormy Mountain Brewing. Beer, barbecue, friends, and beer.
Quality, comfort, style, service. This is the Crown Furniture difference for more than 50 years. Their commitment to you is to provide the best furniture and mattresses the industry has to offer at a great price. Shop Crown Furniture today to experience the difference. And remember, free setup, delivery, and haul-away in their service area is just another way they show they care.
Hi, Tom from Alpine Air Heating and Cooling. When you think of Alpine Air in Wenatchee, think of professional, friendly customer service for all your heating and cooling needs. Alpine Air partners with Carrier, manufacturers of some of the best heating and air conditioning equipment available today. Turn to the experts at Carrier and Alpine Air. Visit our store in Wenatchee, meet our people, see our shop. Heat and air, call Alpine Air, 662-6846.
The 2017 Ski-Doo Summit sleds. Next generation REV platform. The most powerful two-stroke engine in the industry. For the unmatched handling and power to own the next side hill, the next drop, the next ride. Ski-Doo. What matters is what's next.
"39 minutes after the hour, everybody's in a good mood when Arch Ecker drops by and says hi, the broadcasting voice of the Wenatchee Wild, who is our regular guest. I think you've probably made more appearances. Well, I know for a fact you've made more appearances on the show than anybody. Maybe we should issue a commemorative coin.
Well, that would be great. I would enjoy that.
How are you, my friend?
I'm great. I am outstanding. Game day.
Before we preview Powell River and some other stuff, let's go back in time a little bit. Let's go all the way back to last Saturday, Pink at the Rink. 8-1, nicely
Back in
done,
time.
good crowd, wellness place benefited. I'd love to have the bra chandelier hanging over center ice. Great night, one of those epic Wenatchee Wild nights last Saturday night.
Yeah, you know, an event like that takes a lot of hands. I mean, it doesn't just come together. It takes a lot of people, it takes a lot of planning, and a lot of labor and execution, and all of those things kind of came together and fell into place. You know, last year, you know, obviously the Wild have done pink at the rink, you know, as many junior teams do year in, year out. But last year, with by and large, more or less an overhaul of staff in the Wild organization, it was kind of the first time for all of us doing it together. And it ended up okay. I think last year, I think it was just fine. And this year, I think we learned from the year before, and things got just a little bit better, a little bit smoother. And maybe from the outside, it may not have looked a whole lot different, but I know on the inside, it just felt like it went smoother. And that bodes well moving forward as we continue. You know, that bra chandelier, what a great touch.
That was awesome.
And hats off, you know, Pybus helped us out with that. And you know, Jessie Richardson, who's our office manager, and her husband helped get that order. So it's a family affair. I mean, everybody gets involved and does what they can to kind of make it come together, and it worked out just great.
Was it hard for the players to play hockey? They won 8-1. I mean, they just dominated the game. But the rink was so busy. You know, granted, the ice has logos on it and advertising and the Pepsi dots. They have all that stuff. But on Saturday night, pink at the rink, can they find the puck? Was it disconcerting for them to physically play the game?
Apparently, it was disconcerting for the other team's goalie. Yeah, well, actually, goalies, they switched him out at one point and then brought the first guy back in, which you can do in hockey with goalies. It's not like a pitcher where you pull him and he's done. Mm-hmm. But no, actually, you know, it's funny because the guys really didn't have much trouble with it, or any really. And I've talked to some other guys that play like pickup and stuff locally, and they had a pickup game out there, and they were even surprised, expecting it to be more problematic. But you get out on the ice and they start playing, and they're saying, you know what, it becomes a non-factor almost immediately.
And that was on Saturday night, pink at the rink. And then on Wednesday, on the road, you would think if you scored, 5 goals that you would win, but that wasn't the case.
Yeah,
Wednesday.
typically 5 goals is going to be enough to win you a hockey game, and it should be. And it just wasn't that night. It's one of those nights where, you know, sometimes things just aren't going your way, and you get a couple of bounces that go one way or the other. You know, we had a goal that was disallowed early on. It was like about 4 minutes into the game. And
according to you, it should not have been disallowed. It should have counted.
Well, not just me. I mean, well, I don't know. You know, when it happened, I was at a loss to understand why the goal was washed out. Talking to the coaching staff after, they were equally at a loss. And upon video, well, they'd been given an explanation, but when we watched the video review, it was absolutely wrong. It was just the wrong call. They said that one of our guys had interfered with the goaltender, but on the video you can see he never entered his crease, never made contact with him at all. Didn't even brush up against him, and they washed it out. Anyway, I mean, it's a momentum changer. It's one goal. We lost 7-5. You allow 7 goals, you're not going to win a lot of hockey games when you let 7 goals in. And you know, and Trail is no slight on them. They're a good hockey team. I mean, right now they're in first place. So, you know, they earned it. And, you know, we have to learn from it, and we get the opportunity to get back on the ice tonight and do so.
When things like that happen on Wednesday night, what's the communication, say, between the Wenatchee Wild and the BCHL league office about bad calls? Do they grade officials, things like that? How does that work
Well, yeah, there's post game, there's a report that's filled out and sent into the league, and they do make note of and track such things, and they have to use them for for training and education purposes for the officials too, because, you know, at the end of the day, this is a development league, and it's not just developmental for the players, it's developmental for officials as well. And while we always, in sports, we tend to expect our officials to be flawless and perfect, they're not. They're human. They make mistakes. And, I mean, that one was a mistake, but you know what? It is what it is. You know, we all make mistakes. Our guys made mistakes. Their team made mistakes. I make mistakes. I know it's hard to believe, but trust me.
I make tons of mistakes. You can watch about a dozen of them every morning between 7 and 8.
I was sitting over there watching you make mistakes before I came in this morning. So,
Thanks,
yeah,
Arch.
I'll back you up on that. No, I got you, man. I'm on your team, man, on that one.
Overall, the officiating in the British Columbia Hockey League, good, mediocre? I mean, you've watched as many games as anybody. How would you describe it? I know you have to walk a thin line here, but...
I'm going to walk that thin line and say no comment.
Okay.
No, they're you know, like I said before, I mean, it's a developmental league, and you're going to see... You're going to see some officials that are quite good at what they do, and you're going to see some that are maybe struggling and finding their way. But you know, I don't know. I mean, how do you grade it? I mean, there's no way to really quantify. other than I know that there's a, and we're lucky to have them, actually. At the end of the day, I mean, who wants to be a ref? Some guys maybe their playing days are done and they still want to be involved in the game, and officiating seems like a way to go for them. Okay. But, how do you grow a young group of referees for the next generation? It's an absolutely thankless job. The money's not great.
The travel is atrocious.
Travel's terrible. I mean, like we're in trail one night and then we come home, or we're home the next night or whatever. I mean, we're riding on a bus. So, I mean, we get a meal in us, we can kind of sit back and relax. The officials, they're driving their own car. They're checking into hotels and doing all that, and then they're driving and working the next night. And like I said, it's got to be something that's looked at. And I know that USA Hockey and Hockey Canada, I mean, they take it seriously and they understand that growing officials is very important. But I just was echoing that sentiment, I suppose. And in all sports too. I mean, who wants to be an umpire? Look at the beating that the World Series umpires get. What was the guy? Was it Bob Miller? What was his name? Can't figure out the strike zones here.
But keep this in mind, and this is the common denominator between front office, coaches, players, and officials. They all love hockey. Probably the number one reason that the officials are out there is that they love the game. They wouldn't be out there if they didn't.
No, that's true for sure. But like you said, how do you grade them? You just obviously, I suppose head of officials, they've got their criteria for things that, and I have no idea what they are. That's the kind of stuff that goes on behind closed doors. Pay no attention to the man behind the curtain. Nobody wants to see how they make the sausage, right? So you just let them do it, and off you go.
On to bigger and better things. Our honor defend will fight to the end for Ohio. AJ. O-H-I-O. Congratulations to Captain. He's going to be, next year, he's going to be heading to Columbus and be a Buckeye. Talk about that.
He will be. Boy, AJ Vanderbeck, he's a guy that kind of bounced around a little bit, not because he wasn't a desired participant by any stretch. Sometimes we call guys like that suitcase, not like him, but the guys that can bounce around a little bit, we call them suitcases because they never stay anywhere for very long. That wasn't really the case for him, but what I mean by that, when he left home in Colorado and the first time he moved away to play, he went to the Lone Star Brahmas in the North American League, and he had a very successful season there. And then the following year, he had the opportunity to play in the USHL, so he took that as a growth step in his career, and he spent a season there, and then still having some junior eligibility left, he had the opportunity to come to Wenatchee, and weighing his options and whatnot, he found Wenatchee to be a desirable spot, and he obviously had such a great year for us last year with 39 goals and one final year of junior eligibility, and the possibility. He had at one point was committed to go to Colorado College, and for varying reasons that sort of just simmered down, and then he was looking at other options, and he knew he had another year of junior eligibility left and chose to return to Wenatchee, and so we're excited to have him and his firepower back and his leadership, which revealed itself as him being named captain, not by Bliss, but by the team. That's kind of how they go about that process. But so for AJ, just the first time in his career that he's played back-to-back seasons, and then he got injured early, and we were kind of missed him for a few games, but certainly happy to have him back on the ice. And his commitment to Ohio State, I mean, a Big Ten school, and it's no surprise to us, those of us that have the opportunity to watch him day in and day out, because he's that kind of player with that sort of skill set and that sort of work ethic that lends itself well to a high-profile school like Ohio State. So we're excited for AJ. And I know there's one other college commitment I want to toss out there, because we haven't quite put the press release out on it yet, although the player did announce it on his own Twitter.
Okay.
But Sam Morton, who is also a second-year forward for us, has committed to Union College. So he's going off to school too, and he becomes, I guess, the 8th player on this year's roster.
I got the list here, yeah.
In fact, AJ was the 7th.
Yeah, so that would make it 8 players. 8 players are going to be playing collegiate hockey next year, all in the Wild roster. That's an impressive statistic.
Yeah, well, it is, and I mean, realistically, I talked about it being a developmental league, and that's what it's about. I mean, 99% of the players at this level are here because they desire to play Division I college hockey, and they want to get a boost with their schooling, with the scholarship and whatnot. And and then there's obviously a subset that aspire to and reasonably so, have the opportunity to maybe move on to the National Hockey League. Like Nick Dowd, of course, is the one so far from Wenatchee who's playing for the Los Angeles Kings now, but there are many others throughout the league, like we saw a couple years ago, Tyson Jost and Dante Fabro in Penticton, and they were both drafted in the NHL, and Jost is already playing for the Colorado Avalanche, so that's why they're here, and for these players to move on to those Division I schools, that's what it's all about. That's why we do it.
Wenatchee Wild have a home game tonight at the Town Toyota Center. Powell River is in town. We'll preview tonight's matchup with Powell River, who's a very, very good team. It's going to be very entertaining. And we'll talk a little NHL hockey, too, with Art Jecker, the broadcasting voice of the Wenatchee Wild. You're watching Wake Up Wenatchee Valley live on the NCW Live channel.
Hi, I'm Eric Grandstrom, host of Let's Learn here on the NCW Live channel, a program where we learn about different topics. And on this particular series, it's death and die. It's a conversation that no one wants to have, but we're going to have it right here on the NCW Live channel. So you're dead. Now what? We're going to learn all about the choices you have and the decisions you need to make. It's Let's Learn on the NCW Live channel.
I'm Grant Olson, and you're watching the NCW Live channel.
I'm Eric Grandstrom with NCW Live Sports.
I'm NCW Live News Director Steve Hare.
Catch us on LocalTel Channel 12.
You can watch us on Charter Channel 19 or stream us live on ncwlife.com.
Follow us on Twitter and like us on Facebook.
Where we cover the local high schools, the Wenatchee Wild, and the pro teams out of Seattle.
On Saturday, we have a 90% chance of rain.
Catch it all right here on the NCW Live channel.
Join me each week for Life with Lisa Bradshaw. It's not about my life, it's about yours.
NCW Life Channel, your home for local news, local weather, local sports, and local shows featuring local people covering local topics like Wake Up Wenatchee Valley, Let's Learn, Street Talk and Other Stuff, the 12th District, Life with Lisa, and Arbiter of Stoke. NCW Live Channel, your local TV station.
Got about 7 minutes left on this Friday edition of Wake Up Wenatchee Valley. Dan Kuntz, Arch Ecker, Powell River Kings in town tonight. This is, I believe, their only trip to the big city this year. Is that right? Because they're in the other division?
It is. Yeah, they play in the Island Division, and so we only see them once there and once at home, and we already saw them up there. It was back on October 7th, I think. We ended up short on that one, but it was kind of a rough go, that particular trip. We ended up...
Well, first of all, AJ wasn't there. That was when he was still injured, too.
Right, is when shortly after his injury, so we were missing him. We went up and played in Chilliwack on Friday night, and then got up at 6:45 on Saturday morning and took the 2 ferry rides up to Powell River. Also, in that Chilliwack game, we lost Lucas Sveikovsky, and then later in that same game, we lost Lucas Sauter. So that's 3 of our top 4 scorers were just ripped out of the lineup. So all of a sudden, we come limping into Powell River. Found ourselves in a 2-0 hole. Came back, tied it at 2, and then in the end, Powell River ended up pulling away, and they beat us 4-2. But it was a great game. It was a good. If we talk about growing experiences and learning and all these things that happen throughout the year in little mileposts, but that was a night that really showed the team that with the depth we have and whatnot, that
and the
we can compete. Yeah.
When you've taken
absolutely.
a long road trip and you're missing guys and you're like, just play and get out of here and go home, sleep in our own beds. Once you're down 2-0, it's easy just to, can we go now? But instead they fought back and they gave them a game.
Yeah, well, and especially when you know and you're not done for the weekend, because the next day we had to ferry ride back down and play at Cowichan Valley. So, yeah, it was a long weekend, but Powell River, they're a good team. They brought back a lot of veterans, and they're fairly well set. They're in first place in their division, and it's interesting. We've played them twice here in this building. The first time they were ever here, it was our first year, and obviously first year in the BCHL, but it was the second home game we'd played. So the fans are still getting kind of used to the idea, okay, we've got this new league, all these new teams that we've never heard of, right? So the first game, the home opener, we played Coquitlam, and kind of knocked them around a little bit. And so I think fans might have been a little, oh, this BCHL thing's going to be a breeze,
Sure.
right? We beat them 8-1 or whatever it was. And then the next day you come out and here comes Powell River, and Powell River shut us down 6-0. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, you got to show up to these things. Oh, okay. And then last year we played them, and it was right before the holiday break, and the Wild shut them out, so we kind of paid them back, and it was a 5-0 victory. So I don't know, shutouts galore when we play Powell River at Town Toyota Center anyway.
This I know because I've been from the get-go. This is year 10 of the Den. This league, the British Columbia Hockey League, is a superior league for just pure talent, pure hockey than the previous associations that the Wenatchee Wild were involved in. It's better hockey.
Well, it is. It's definitely better hockey. And it's no slight. I mean, the North American League, which the Wild were members of for the first 7 seasons, that league has really come leaps and bounds as well from where it was even 10 years ago. And part of that is just some of it's stability of the franchises, and some of it is just figuring it out along the way, which the coaches and league as a whole have been figuring out. So, the North American League puts out some good talent, and the BCHL, of course, BCHL has been around in semi-morphed increments. There were the BCJHL, and it went through a couple things over the years, but yeah, there's a great caliber of talent in this league, and the fans have noticed. I mean, that's one of the things I noticed last year when I came here. Fans all talked about how the move was a good thing. They missed the rivalry with Fairbanks. That's one thing, because that was pretty spirited. But other than that, I don't think fans miss the North American League very much.
No, I don't.
And I know that the players don't miss it because there was no such thing. I mean, now we can go play in Penticton and be back home in our beds that night. Sure. Whereas before, every road game was a flight, with the exception of there was some Fresno bus trips, which are hauls, and then the one year when Dawson Creek was in the league, and that was about as bad as going up to Prince George. So that was no fun. But other than that, they were always flying to the Twin Cities or Dallas or Topeka or somewhere, and that's hard on a team.
We got a couple minutes left. The Las Vegas Golden Knights are the talk of the National Hockey League. They've hit a little bit of a roadblock. They've lost their last 3 games in a row, but this is not how expansion teams are supposed to play. They're supposed to be everybody's whipping boy, but this is the talk of the league, the Vegas team.
Well, I mean, how could it not be with the start they had? And I think they won 8 of their first 9 games, and nobody ever expected it. But it's not too surprising because, I mean, part of the thing with expansion teams, it used to be, such a gift for teams to be able to even be in the league. So it's kind of like, all right, we're going to let you in, but we're going to give you crumbs. And they'd be like, oh, thank you, sir. Thank you. We're just so happy to be here. We'll take the crumbs and we'll figure it out later. And then after a while, then now the league kind of looks at it more like, look, we're going to let you in, but we don't want these whooping boys. We need somebody to come in and at least be somewhat competitive and relevant, because it's not good for the league to have a team that's a dumpster fire.
Well, that's what happened to Phoenix. Phoenix was a dumpster fire from the get-go, and now they're just barely hanging on.
Well, Phoenix was a little different story because they were the relocation of the Winnipeg Jets.
And then they're going to relocate again. I hope to Seattle soon. Anyway.
That's a
I want to throw out rumor and innuendo.
Yeah,
real quickly, we have less than a minute left. One of the coaches said it's different because they are so good at home because there's so much to do in Las Vegas. And he thinks one of the reasons that the new Vegas team is playing so well, especially at home, is that the players are not in the best of shape when they drop the puck because it's Vegas and there are a lot of distractions. I don't know. Just throw that out there.
Yeah, how true is it? Not overly.
Yeah.
It's these athletes are pros. Now, has every player towed the line? No. There's a couple that probably got caught out a little bit at the Golden Nugget or whatever, but beyond that, they're professionals and they show up to work.
Powell River is in town, 7 o'clock tonight at the Town Toyota Center. Arch, go get them. Have a great game tonight. You can listen to it on Sunny FM, the flagship station of the Wenatchee Wild Hockey
I just got
Network.
to call more goals for us than them. That's my
Everybody
job.
have a great weekend. I'll see you in a week. I'm off next week. Take care. Bye-bye.
We'll miss you.